Well, hello there, and welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I'm Debbie Georgiani, normally with Jerry Usher. He'll be back tomorrow, so I really need your help today because we're going to be tackling a very deep subject that really hits us right in the heart. So I need your help, and I'm asking the question today on Take Two. We are live today, so I expect your calls. Do you trust your spouse? Do you trust your spouse? Now, I don't want you to out any, family details and, just, really embarrass or humiliate your spouse. So if you want to use your confirmation name when you call up, feel free to do that. Or if you have all of this, put behind you of a broken trust, and you can talk about it because you are very transparent about the healing process, then please do so. We need your help today because there are a lot of couples, a lot of families, they're struggling with this. How do we know? How do we know this, Jerry and I? Well, we hear your comments, your emails. You're also inquiring about couples coaching at Stand Tall today. And so we know that this is happening in your home. So please, let's discuss it today, the Take Two way. So I need you to fill up the phone lines. And do you trust your spouse today? Like, think of it, just, do you trust your spouse today? If you were going to ask your spouse this question, which I asked Marty, my husband, this morning, I said to him, do you trust me? And I said, can you do it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest? And he gave me a 9. I think that's excellent. He always wants me to improve. So that's great. Okay, so today he feels like he can completely trust me. That is a wonderful thing in a relationship. So let's talk about this. And then let's also flip it and talk about the downside of what happens when there's a betrayal of trust. It can really destroy a relationship. It really wounds the heart. I know, because I was on the receiving end of it in 2006. It was brutal. I almost didn't recover from it. That's how hard it hit me, because I tend to be a very loyal person, and so trust is a big thing for me. I practice trusting God always. Jesus, I trust in you. I must say that a sentence 1,000 times a day. So I'm big on that. I try to trust God more than the storm I'm facing. So I do practice what I tend to somewhat preach. So it's interesting. I need that in a relationship. So when there's a broken trust, when there's a betrayal of trust, when there is something that really wounds you, wow, that's hard to recover from. So we're asking the question, stay in the present moment. Do you trust your spouse today? If I were to ask you this today, which I am going to as you call in, do you trust your spouse? Tell us why you do, why you don't, what you're doing to repair your relationship. Maybe your relationship could not survive it, and that's tough. And so let's talk about that as well. Let me just state up front, Jerry and I, in the outreach ministry that we do on Stand Tall, you can reach us at standtalltoday.com. We do provide couples coaching. It's done by Zoom. And so we really would encourage you to get a free consultation if you're having any of these situations that we're going to be talking about on this show today. So please, we need a very robust discussion on this so we can help other souls that are listening right now. You don't have to be Catholic to call in. You tell us your experience of this in a relationship. Do you trust your spouse? We've got plenty of articles that we are pulling from that share various things and statistics about this. Also, what you can do if there was a betrayal, what you can do to heal the relationship. Let me just assure you of something. It can be healed. It can be fixed. You can go on to have a very wonderful relationship, but it takes time, folks. It takes time. It's not going to be done overnight. I mean, I guess if there was a miracle by God, then it would be done overnight. But just for us going through day-to-day life, it is not going to be an easy process, but it can be a beautiful experience if both parties come together and are very honest about what happened. So please, phone lines are open right now. Here's the number. Ready? Go. Start calling 833-288 3986. That's the number to call. You'll speak to Matt Gabinski. He is wonderful. He'll talk to you for a few minutes. He'll put you on hold. You get to listen live, and then you'll slip into this discussion and you'll share about trust in your relationship. 833-288-3986. I don't want to spend the entire hour sharing from articles. You can pull up all of these articles online. All you have to do is put in, to search trust in a relationship, how to build trust, what happens when there's a betrayal of trust, what happens if there's a broken relationship and it revolves around trust, what happens when jealousy is part of it. You can find all of these articles right at your fingertips on your keyboard. And so you can spend that time after the show going deeper. What we want to do is get to your experience, your wisdom, your knowledge of this, what you would recommend to other couples immediately who are hurting right now. Maybe you are, contemplating leaving a relationship because of broken trust. Let's talk about it. Let's kind of rethink this, maybe, especially if there's children involved. So there's so many things we can talk about today, and I'll be very, very transparent, full disclosure about anything that I went through with the broken trust betrayals. I'll happily share anything. Why? Because I think it can help others. And that's the reason I share it, not to kind of draw any sympathy or anything like that, or say, oh, poor me, I don't have that victim mentality. But I do believe that our experiences that we share in our very private, personal relationships can help others, because I don't think there's enough of that right now, enough community sharing. And it probably has something to do with the pandemic. We all became kind of a little bit on our own little islands. We're very, very insulated and isolated, and that's not good. We are made for community. We are made for community. So please call in right now and share your answer to this question. Do you trust your spouse? Remember, on Take Two, we cover the good, the bad, and the ugly. So share everything you want to share with this worldwide audience. 833-288-3986.
Church Pop takes a fresh and fun look at the news shaping our world, featuring engaging, inspiring, and informative Catholic social media content. Find it on Snapchat, Instagram, and on the web at churchpop.com. And you can get Church Pop emailed directly to your inbox. Visit EWTN.com and click subscribe. EWTN, the Global Catholic Network.
Stand Tall is now offering advanced group coaching sessions with master coaches highly trained in life skills. Visit standtalltoday.com and register for one of our upcoming group coaching events. These virtual opportunities are designed to take you to the next level of life in your relationships, career, faith walk, and so much more. Space is limited, so hurry to standtalltoday.com. That's standtalltoday.com.
The most original Catholic content is on EWTN Radio.
Hello, Journey Home family. Next time, we'll welcome John Sorensen, a revert to the Catholic faith from atheism, to share what led him to come home to the Catholic Church. Share the journey next time on EWTN's The Journey Home.
The Journey Home, tonight, 8 Eastern, on EWTN Radio and television.
I'm asking the question today, do you trust your spouse? Jerry will be back tomorrow, so you have me today. And I do offer a lot of life coaching sessions with couples. So just so you know, I'm very well versed in this, and I have a lot of experience in it, actually since the year 2000. So you can pretty much ask me anything. If I don't know the answer completely, I will happily research it and get back to you. But I really need you to call in. If you don't want to use your birth name that you were given at birth, you can use your confirmation name or a name you always desired to have. But please call in. I need your experience today. 833-288-3986 is the number to call. So don't hesitate. I always say this because Jerry and I believe that the Holy Spirit is definitely leading this show. So if you feel that little nudge in your spirit and you have something to say and you can help another soul today, say yes. Take that opportunity. Okay, because these things can help you for all of eternity. Think about it. We're all connected as the body of Christ. So please don't hesitate. And again, you do not have to be Catholic to call in. We consider you part of the family if you're listening. Before we go to Sue, I just wanted to share with our listeners, if you've ever thought about talking about a nudge in your spirit, and this is a big Holy Spirit feeling. If you ever had the feeling of wanting, and I have, wanting to start a Catholic radio station, find out how you can help start a Catholic radio station where you live, powered by the truth of the church and EWTN's dynamic radio programming. All you have to do is email Steve at this address, radio@EWTN.com. And I really think there are a lot of pockets around the U.S. that do not have Catholic radio. So if you're living in one of those areas, for instance, Tucson, Arizona, they don't have EWTN radio. And so I would really think about it and then email Steve, but you'll talk to Steve. He's wonderful at radio@EWTN.com. We need to fill those pockets that don't have Catholic radio yet. It's very important we reach souls, and very quickly. If you just look at what's happening in the world, things are moving very fast and not in a good direction. So we need Catholic radio. I believe we need Catholic radio now more than ever. Okay, we just have 2 open phone lines. I need you to pick those last 2 up at 833-288-3986. And let's go to Sue, who is a first-time caller in Ohio on Annunciation Radio. Hi, Sue. Thank you for being first up here on Take Two.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm doing okay today. Thank you.
So tell us, what do you think about this trust question I am asking?
I think trust in marriage is one of the most important things, and it was I kind of learned it a hard way. I was telling your screener that, and by the way, Debbie, I think we've met before because I've helped at Annunciation Radio before when you've done on our share-a-thon.
Oh,
so,
wonderful.
At any rate,
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
My husband and I had been married probably 35 years or so when this occurred. But we had 7 children, and I worked, he worked. He was a hardworking man, and he was involved in many different things. He not only worked his trucking job, but he was in the National Guard, Army National Guard, and did many things. He was he became a deputy sheriff. He was the oldest person to ever go through the deputy sheriff class or the sheriff's class in order to do that after he had retired from his job. But at any rate, at one point in our marriage, both working. We just were working, busy with kids. I said I had been spending too much time away from him. I was bartending at the time, and those are late nights, and I'd get home late. We'd pass each other in the morning, hi, bye, whatever. And he, at that time, started, it was kind of a mutual friend of ours that we had met, but he's having coffee with her because I was busy working, and I happened to drive by the restaurant, and they were having coffee the one day, and I saw them together, and I'm like, what the heck? I thought he was home with the kids. So I stopped at the restaurant and saw that they were really in pretty good conversation. So anyway, when I went on home, we kind of talked about it after that, and I don't want to say I confronted him, but I think we really had a turning point in our relationship at that point, because I realized that I was not totally I don't want to say submissive to him, but I was not aware of all of the lack of relationships that we had, and how ours is starting to fall apart until that point. At that point, we both agreed that we would work harder on it. My husband ended up eventually, not right away, but did end up joining the church. And after he joined the church, it even added more to our relationship because then we both were on the same page. He had been raised in the Church of the Latter-day Saints, and his beliefs had been much different. And I really think he didn't leave that church completely until after his dad died, just out of respect for his dad, if nothing else. But it's a long story for what just seems like it was just a real monumental point in my life as a wife, and I just realized that it wasn't enough just to cook his meal and say, okay, I'm cleaning your house, now you got to mow the lawn type thing. So.
Well, Sue, there are many things that you said that really I think are going to be of great help to those that are listening right now that are in relationships, because a lot of times when there's that big event, right, of the wedding, and everybody goes, whew, I made it. I'm married. Okay, everything's, I don't have to worry about anything anymore. I don't have to impress anybody. I don't have to work at trying to get a relationship, maintain a relationship. I'm married now. Whew, I got the ring on. Okay. But you make a really good point, and I just want to say, Sue, a little bit you were cutting out. I don't know if it was on my end, so I'm gonna if I don't say something properly, just correct me. I want to make sure I get the details correct for all of our listeners of Take Two. But you said something really interesting about this idea of, there's maintenance. You had 7 children. Okay. There's a lot of things going on. You had a lot of action in that home. A lot of, you probably had daily to-do lists. Okay. Just to maintain and keep the family afloat. So when that happens, how does the person, the spouses, they go into what we call almost like an autopilot, right? You're just doing, you're just moving and getting everything done. And so there's sometimes, there is this feeling that it's okay. We have to do this. This is what we signed up for as parents, as a family. But we forget that the relationship needs care as well. And I think sometimes when a trust is broken, like through an emotional affair or something of that nature, or just even, striking up a relationship with somebody outside of the marriage, just as a friendship that, they're kind of crying the blues to that person or whatever, we focus on that and we get so upset about that. We don't realize that there were a lot of foundational cracks that led to that. And I never will put the blame on the person that has been betrayed, because I think it's so wounding to the heart. I know, because I lived it. It is brutal. That's the best word I could describe it. I said it at the beginning of the show. But Sue, real quickly, talk a little bit about that families, it's beautiful to have a family, but the coupleship, the relationship needs care, needs time, needs attention, right, Sue?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's best if you're on the same page and things too. I think part of our difference was part of it. We started to realize that, and I really became more intensified in my prayer that my husband would become the same religion.
Right. So you had a really wonderful good come out of this, right? He came into the church.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was a big turning point that I personally realized that I had to put more into the marriage than just take care of the kids in the house. That's really when I walked away and said, no, this isn't all God. This isn't all his fault. This was also my fault.
Wow. Sue, thank you so much for calling in today. We really appreciate it. God bless you, and thank you for all the volunteer work you do with Annunciation Radio. I appreciate it. I hope to get to Toledo again next year. Thank you, Sue. Okay, Sue just freed up a phone line there. Please, this is important. Sue was kind of breaking up there just a little bit, but I hope our Take Two family got the gist of her life story, because it's very important. She stuck in there. She stuck it out. She stayed in there for the relationship, for the marriage, for the ultimate good that her husband came into the church, for her 7 children. Okay, so there was an extreme good that came out of a very sad situation. So this is what we're talking about today. Please enhance this conversation with your call, 833-288-3986. Folks, this is important work we're doing here. It's not just opening up the microphones and just sharing and shooting the breeze. I mean, it really is, can be life-changing radio for people that are listening. They're absorbing right now. There are folks that are in relationships. They're struggling with them. We know that because we hear it all the time at Stand Tall. So please pick up the phone if you have something to share, like Sue did, and share your heartbreak that can turn into something that is really a blessing. Her husband came into the church. Sue stuck it out. She did it. That's great. That's what we want. We don't want quitters. We want people that are really going to be there for the long term. So if you could call in right now, there is an open phone line. You'll get right in, 833-288-3986. We're talking about trust in a relationship today on Take Two. Please pick up the phone and call. Okay, Marie is up next in Oklahoma on Catholic Broadcasting. Hello, Marie.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm great. My husband gave me a 9 on trust. I'm a little bit, I don't know. It kind of bothers me. I would have liked a 10, but he doesn't. He wants me to improve. So, you know what? I'm grateful. So go ahead.
That's good. That's ironic that you said that, because I listened to the radio and I called in just on a whim from you asking, and my initial words that came out of my mouth were no. So I thought, well, I'm going to call. And then I kind of turned the tables. I wondered what he would say if he were listening to the radio. And I think he would say no, but there's no reason for him not to trust me. And I've witnessed things that I know I can't trust him. It's black and white. So it's confusing.
Mm-hmm. So how long have you been married, Marie?
Almost 30 years.
Okay, and you would say, so let me just make sure I have this correct. You would say that kind of underneath the surface, you both have a little bit of distrust. There's not that sense of comfort and security?
Yes.
And can you share? Do you feel comfortable sharing some of the details? Like why? Like what are the reasons?
Well, I don't know what his reasons are. I think it's just there's alcohol involved. So I think that's the majority of it. With him, I do not drink. He does. And I don't know why he wouldn't trust me, but he doesn't. I don't know.
Well, have you really set kind of an appointment to sit and discuss this when you're both really fed and rested and you're in a good place, and just say, hey, what are the reasons? Can you give me the reasons that you don't trust me? And, have you ever had any of those real, open discussions?
Yes, many times. We seem to go in circles with it. Mm-hmm. He says things that just seriously aren't. And I do try to take it to heart and say, is there any truth to that? I think it's kind of delusional on his end. I don't know if there's mental illness. I don't know what it is, but and it changes. When he's sober, it's not like that. It's just when he's been drinking. So, but yeah, and then we can sit down when he is sober, and he'll say, "I'm sorry," but it's always, "I'm sorry, I'm going to change," and it never changes. Mm-hmm.
Where is your husband at with his faith in the church?
For 30 years. It's been like that for the last 5 years, probably.
Mm-hmm. But where is your husband at with the church?
He grew up in a very religious family, Baptist.
So he's not in the...
We don't go to church on a regular basis, so.
Okay. Well, if you're open, can you hang on? You're going to hear the music in just a bit. I would love to just share with you just a couple things that maybe you can start utilizing and implementing today that can just make your relationship better. I really want that for you because you're such a sweetheart for calling in, and I want that for you. And the fact that you did call in sounds like you really do want it to get better. So if you could hang on, that would be wonderful. This is turning out to be a great discussion on trust and how to rebuild trust, how to maintain a good, trusting relationship with your spouse. That is wonderful. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And Jerry will be back tomorrow. I need your assistance today with your phone call at 833-288-3986. When we come back, we'll pick up where we left off with Marie, who's listening on Oklahoma Catholic Broadcasting. We'll be right back.
Pray the Rosary with Father Benedict Rochelle in a beautiful and reverent recording of The Rosary is a Place with meditations by Father Groeschel and original music and lyrics by Simonetta. Visit EWTNRC.com today.
Tomorrow morning on the Sunrise Morning Show,
we'll celebrate the feast of St. Dominic, founder of the Order of Preachers. We'll also get more thoughts on personal prayer with Father Boniface Hicks and dive into the Office of Readings with Chris McGregor from Discerning Hearts. Plus all the latest news, weather, sports, and everything else you need to start your day a better way.
The Sunrise Morning Show, tomorrow at 6 a.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
EWTN's religious catalog has great summer reading for kids. How the Angels Got Their Wings introduces children to the famous archangels Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. It also introduces children to those special angels who are here with us right now, our guardian angels. It's one of many great summer reading suggestions for kids from EWTN Religious Catalog. For more, visit EWTNRC.com today.
This is Debbie Georgiani. If you missed part of today's show, catch the encore tonight at midnight Eastern or anytime at EWTN Podcast Central. Visit us at EWTN.com/radio/podcasts.
Open Line Tuesday.
EWTN News Nightly.
Light of the East.
Catholic Answers Live.
No one does Catholic radio like EWTN.
Hi, this is Janet Williams. We embrace the essence of feminine spirituality on Women of Grace tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern here on EWTN Radio. Now, back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
We're asking the question today, or I'm asking the question today, do you trust your spouse? It would be great if you could call in and you can give your confirmation name or another name, but I need the details because it helps all of us as the body of Christ grow and learn and help each other and support each other in our relationships. Marriage is under attack. We know that. The demons want to break up the family. They want to break up marriages. So we need to really fight hard and protect and preserve and prosper those beautiful sacramental marriages and keep them going strong. So with your experience, you can help another marriage today. So please don't hesitate any longer, but you do have plenty of time to still call in, and there are open phone lines for you. 833-288-3986. We're talking to Marie in Oklahoma, listening on Oklahoma Catholic Broadcasting. And Marie, are you open to just a couple thoughts and suggestions that you can start working on right now with your husband?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So the first one would be, and here's the beauty of this, Marie. Less is more with God, meaning that we don't have to sit there with our spouses for 2 hours and pray. Okay, 2 minutes. 2 minutes, Marie. If you and your husband at the start of your day, when you see each other, could you please 2 minutes? It can be spontaneous prayer. It could be a prayer that you both of you agree on, whatever, or a scripture verse that you can meditate on and pray just a little bit about for 2 minutes. 2 minutes every day. Now, why do I say that? Because when your first thoughts are about God, you're going to make better thoughts throughout the day. That's number one. Number two, it connects you as a couple. It allows you to deepen your understanding of God, because when two or more are gathered, He is present. That's the two of you. So the two of you are gathered in prayer, even if it's for 2 minutes, and it really does help to start the day off right. The second thing I would suggest is, I understand that, having alcohol dependency, it's very hard to break free from it. I know that AA does a fine job, and other programs out there to help those to really overcome that and kick that addiction. Okay. But what I've heard since the year 2000 in coaching is that couples will come to coaching and they will say, he or she is constantly promising they're going to stop, or they want to stop. They just have to do it. They have to take those first steps, Marie. And I would just encourage you, along with your husband, to take those steps together so that he can get over this. Because you're actually, in my opinion, and from the work I do in coaching, you're dealing with two people. You're dealing with your husband who's sober, and you're dealing with your husband who is alcohol dependent at times. And that can be really hard on a relationship, because which person do you trust? Which person do you rely on? Which person do you believe? Who's the real person? And so I would really encourage you together to try to tackle this and see if you can get it under control, because, and I will share this, even the slightest bit of alcohol dependency is too much, because when I was in insurance for many years, and on the forms for life insurance, they say, how many drinks do you drink? Do you consume per week? And most people would put down, 1 drink. Well, the insurance companies know that. They say times it by 4 or times it by 8, because that's just not the truth. People say, I only had 2 drinks. I know, because I was a bartender when I was in college. Okay. It's usually double that. So people are consuming much more alcohol than they want to admit. And I would just say those things can really, the things that I shared with you, Marie, can really help to get this on a better path. What do you say? Any comments about what I shared?
No, you have said things that we've tried before, but I think it's important to try it again and to keep trying. And the prayer, I think, will help.
Right. Please, and little bit, you don't have to do a lot, because I know sometimes that gets our spouses like, I don't want to do this. I'm not going to become, a church person and be constantly, doing prayer. 2 minutes. And then if you can add 2 minutes right before you go to sleep, that's even better. Okay. Just slow things you can add, and you will see, you'll start, because God is so wonderful, Marie. The tiniest bit we turn to Him, He rushes towards us. Okay?
I agree.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to be praying, so keep us posted, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. That was a beautiful call. See, very honest. She shared some things that I think we can all learn from. So let's hear what Lynn has to say in Albany, New York, listening on Pax et Bonum Radio. Hi, Lynn. Welcome.
Thank you. This is an interesting topic, because I think for me, when I think of trust, it's trust in the little things as much as the big, it's the everyday little things. So for me, my husband is one that he likes to fix things, right? Mm-hmm. So he's always like, anything breaks, he doesn't want to call anybody. He doesn't want to, he buys something new. So over the years, over 45 years that we've been married, he's always, managed to, fix this. And most of the time, some of the time it works out fine, but there have been many times where he said, "Oh, I'm going to fix this," and it ends up being a disaster. It ends up spending, all this money on parts and getting frustrated, and only to find out we have to call somebody now to pick up the damage. So anyway, so over the years, I've kind of gotten to the point where I've kind of, it's like it's like if he says, "Oh, I'm going to fix something," I'll say, "No, don't even try. It's just going to be a disaster. Don't even try." But what I've learned is time and time again is if he insists, like, "Okay, I know what I'm doing here, I'll say, "Okay, go." So what I've learned over the years is I just have to, I've learned to just, if he says he's going to do something, I just let him do, I say, "Okay, go ahead," and at least try. And now I'm finding more and more, I think it kind of gives him the more confidence, and finding now there's stuff that he even is amazed that he's able to, fix these things that, normally, one time it was our pool. We had to take the whole pool apart. And so anyway, but that's what I've learned over the years is that I just have to trust him, even in the little everyday things, just like, we trust in God for, the little things. And, and the other thing I wanted to say is that I also have become more and more devoted to St. Joseph because every time he gets into a situation where there's something where I'm afraid it might not work out, I pray to St. Joseph, and that also helps.
Right, helps. Okay, Lynn, I am so grateful to you that you called in because you jogged my memory. Thank you so much. I had the notes on another page, and I actually tucked them underneath our prayer book because I added our previous caller, Marie, in the prayer book with her husband. So I wanted to mention this, and so I'm so grateful to you, and I'm grateful to the Holy Spirit. Okay, so Lynn, you tapped into something that is so important. You got to trust your spouse with the little things, and that is so true because the little trust situations build into a bigger understanding and a big heartfelt trust for your spouse. And I want to just add to a couple things you said. The one of the recipes for success in the trust area of a relationship is when we do have those demonstrations of little bits of trust, little elements of trust with our spouse, and then we follow it up with, I am so proud of you. I'm so pleased. This makes me so happy. I trusted you that you were going to take the pool apart and fix it. And you did. And you did such a fine job, and so we're building that trust. We're building that confidence. Our self-esteem goes up in the relationship, and you are spot on. And so that is so important. But I wanted to also add this, that is key, that it is so paramount to keeping the trust consistent, and that is to be your word. As a spouse, when you give your word to your spouse, for instance, I'm going to fix this on Saturday. Okay, if you can't get to it on Saturday, it is your responsibility to go to your spouse and say to your spouse, I told you I could fix this on Saturday. Something else came up with the kids, or I got sick, or whatever. So I just want to let you know that I'm aware that I gave you my word that it was going to be fixed on Saturday. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to fix it till Sunday. But you need to acknowledge that, because your family, your wife or your husband or your kids are watching and hearing the words and depending on the words. So if a spouse says, I'm going to do this at a certain time and day, they need to make every effort to fulfill that, no matter what. And if not, they need to address that. I think as spouses, we just take for granted that it's our family, it's our wife, it's our husband, it's our kids. Oh, they'll be fine. They'll get over it. It's just mom or dad. That's not cool, because it doesn't allow for the relationship and the family to be to have that consistency and to have that ability to depend on each other. What do you say to that, Lynn? I'm really big in life coaching on being your word.
Yes, definitely. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. And don't you feel that in relationships, sometimes we take advantage of that? We just think, oh, well, our partner will understand, no big deal that I did.
Yeah, and I also agree with what you said about just showing our gratitude. Like like with my husband, and I don't always do that either, but like they do something, they say, and you say, thank you, I appreciate that, I think that's also important too, rather than just, oh, well, you did it and it's done, but just that gratitude, I think, is another big piece of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And these are the things that take time and attention. And it's important. It's like what we talked about with our first caller. It's so important to, Sue was sharing it so beautifully. You've got to take that time in a relationship after the wedding. And sometimes we just naturally get into the rhythm of life, and we're not giving that time and attention to the relationship. We really should, because then, we can help to strengthen that bond. And so that when the outside threats of people or situations or alcohol or drugs or I don't know, all sorts of things come into or try to come into our relationship, they're going to have less of a chance of penetrating the beauty of that marital bubble. My husband and I do a talk on the marital bubble, Lynn, and we talk about just having that insulated, very strong shield around the relationship to protect the relationship. So, because those threats are going to be there, and we know that so many of those threats are from the demons themselves. Any final comments, Lynn? Because I think your call was spot on. I needed to get this information out, so I thank you.
You're welcome. Just trust in all, even big things and little things. That's all.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you so much for calling Take Two today. That was a great call. I hope it helped others. And so let's go to Meg. And Meg is in a first-time caller. We had two first-time callers today. That's wonderful. From Bucks County, Pennsylvania, on Holy Spirit Radio. Hi, Meg. Welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Hi. Thank you. I'm going to the screener. I'll put my call through. I was listening to sort of the tail end of Marie's story.
Mm-hmm.
And I did hear you talk about AA, but forgive me if I'm wrong, I don't think I heard you mention Al-Anon.
I did not, but you go right ahead.
Yes, I was in a similar situation, and I spent many hours on my knees in adoration, asking God what was wrong. There was something terribly wrong in my marriage, and it wasn't about trust. I know that was a topic Marie was talking about when she spoke about her husband and his drinking. I just knew. And yes, prayer helps everything. And combined with Al-Anon meetings, that helped me. But I will say the marriage and the healing that is going to need to take place, you got to get that drug out of that man's system. I know a lot of people probably think about alcoholism as someone in the street who has lost everything, total rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be a message that that's not always the case. Someone can be a very highly functioning alcoholic, but the way that drug affects their personality and what that means in a marriage is so deep. So I just wanted to put that out there for anybody listening. If you don't like one Al-Anon meeting, go to another. But if your spouse won't stop drinking, or even if he does, it's just a great support. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, no, I'm glad you did Al-Anon, the program as well. Yes, absolutely, because you need to get the strength, the understanding, the support to get through these things. Meg, stay with me a little longer, because I want to ask you some questions if I can, because relationships right now are hard enough just in this world, right? And then when you introduce, like you said, the drug of alcohol or hard drugs, or some kind of other addiction like pornography, gambling. I mean, it can go on and on and on. Can you describe some of the results of that in a relationship? Because here's why I say this: there are couples right now that they're thinking, oh, he'll get over this, or she'll get over that, or they'll grow out of it, or they'll mature, or they'll change, or maybe when they get the new job, things will be different. And the red flags, the flags are there, the neon signs are there, and spouses sometimes overlook those signs because they want the relationship to survive. They want it to succeed. And I get that. I was there. I totally understand that. But can you kind of go into some of the things that we should all be aware of or be looking for with our spouses to maybe, prevent some of this?
I'm probably not the best person to ask because I feel a bit foolish saying this. I had no idea the quantity that my spouse was drinking. So I don't know if I can answer that question. I knew something was wrong, and I'll just go back to me praying. And I'll say this too, I didn't know how wrong until, I think 6 years ago. Praise God, he stopped. And the difference in his personality and our marriage is just profound because that drug is no longer in his system. Mm-hmm. So other than you asked me what signs to look for, in my case, my mother knew, but she had experienced alcoholism in her family of origin. I had not. So she knew, but I didn't because, again, I thought it was always like the stumbling party guy drunk. I didn't know just how just even drinking 3 a night and then on the weekends impacted everything from health to personality. So I guess I will just say, well, I can't give tips online about what to look for. I can say don't fool yourself about, quote, social drinkers, because socially acceptable drinkers who are alcoholics and where the drug changes their personality can really wreak havoc on a marriage. And I would still be in the marriage if the drinking had not stopped. I just know that about myself. I would. But I did get, like I said, a lot of support from Al-Anon, and there's lots of tips to reduce the fighting or to even, when you're, quote, having those important conversations, sometimes you have to realize you're talking to a bottle. And just leave it at that. So I don't know if I answered your question fully, but I just...
Yeah, you did. And
okay.
And let me just ask you this. And first of all, I want to say, please never feel foolish or apologize because, relationships are very complicated. There's so many things going on. People think it's just like, I don't know, it's like a one size fits all with relationships. It's not that way. You've got personalities, you've got situations, you've got pressures, you've got other extended family dynamics. I mean, so many things. So never feel like that, Meg, here on Take Two. Never, because we've all been there. But I have one more follow-up question real quickly for you. Do you know why you didn't see the signs? Were you just super busy?
Oh, because I don't drink.
Okay.
The drinking was happening, I was busy with the children, or the drinking was happening at night, and I don't even know how to open a wine bottle. Like, that's how much I don't drink.
Okay.
So I didn't buy the alcohol. I didn't drink. I would go to bed early. And this was all happening in a very, we'll say, socially acceptable way. Mm-hmm. I had no idea. And again, I know you say how what I missed, but I didn't know. Wow. But even the difference in health, difference in weight, in body, in eyes, everything has changed with that that drug not being in my dear spouse's system. And he did it cold turkey. And I just sort of think about it, I feel bad. There's probably people listening thinking, oh, what if my husband doesn't or he won't? The scars are still there. And like you mentioned, relationships are hard. I, bring my own baggage into the marriage. But, there's always hope. And when I went to my first Al-Anon meeting, this is a little funny, I thought it would be full of crying, worn out, depressed divorcees, and I thought that would be my future. Turns out I was the only crying depressed person. It was a room full of very
joy-filled,
upbeat,
yeah, it's
joyful
joy-filled
people who truly found a way to love and enjoy life, even while their loved ones were drinking. So there is a way. I want to be a message of hope. There is a way to still enjoy life and the blessings, even if someone chooses to continue to drink. I will say I was the only crying, red-faced, depressed person there. Everybody else was full of light and love. So
bless your heart. Bless your heart. It's okay. You went in there because it was, the emotions were on the surface there, But it sounds like you and your husband have really, and to quit cold turkey, that's huge. So please, pat him on the back and say, keep going. That's awesome. So Meg, thank you so much. You really, really graced this conversation today. So we appreciate it. Please call us again. Definitely. We're getting a lot of messages coming in that there is a Catholic version of a 12-step program called, I believe it's Calix, CALIX. And one of the websites is calixsociety.org. It's like AA, and it's done in the local Catholic churches. So thanks to the Take Two family that stepped up and said there's a Catholic 12-step program, and that is Calix, CALIX. I have never really heard of it, so I'm going to check it out after the show. So thank you to everyone, Mary Beth and everybody else who stepped in. Wanted to share with our listeners about the EWTN family celebration. So important. If you're coming to Birmingham for EWTN's free family celebration, you may want to stay a little longer. There's lots to see and do, including Birmingham's amazing botanical gardens, the Barber Vintage Motorsports Museum, craft breweries, the Birmingham Zoo, sporting events, and so much more. All you have to do is go to EWTN.com/family celebration to find out more and to register. How exciting. And you'll love it. The family celebrations are incredible. So check it out, folks. This is turning out to be a fabulous episode of Take Two, and we are already getting messages coming in saying thanks for doing topics like this. Jerry and I want to continue doing more relationship topics simply because we're getting a lot of calls and emails coming into Stand Tall today. And so, and as a matter of fact, right when we were, when I was doing the show, we had a free consultation come in. Why is that? Because like I said, our relationships are really under a lot of pressure right now. There's a lot of things coming at relationships, and we really need to strengthen them. And we're here for you guys. So standtalltoday.com. Okay, Mary in Cleveland, Ohio on the Rock. Hello, Mary. I've got a minute. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. So to get quickly, I've been married for 47 years. 2 years ago, my husband quit drinking. He had a bad episode and hurt himself, and I kind of had it. And it's still been hard. I still go to Al-Anon. That has really helped me. I started about 5 years ago with that. But the thing is, just yesterday we were talking about it, and he still couldn't understand that why I seemed happy all those years. And I said, well, I'm not going to go into the past and all the things that, I got to let it go.
Right.
That I feel like you did to me. But I said, I'm very thankful that you quit drinking. It really, I feel it changed you and me and our family. Mm-hmm. And he said, you never thanked me all these 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And I never had thought about that.
Oh, Mary, I'm going to have to leave it there. I'm so sorry. But thank you for affirming that we have to thank our spouses when they make these great changes that can really help our relationships. Mary, I'm so sorry. We're getting ready to close the show. I want to thank the show team, Matt, Jeff, Ace, our producer. Tomorrow, whom or what are you praying for? Until tomorrow, have a beautiful and blessed day. See you real soon.
EWTN Global Catholic Network is the largest religious media network in the world. 11 global TV channels, English and Spanish